Hi guys, welcome to another video from Hustle is for Life Motivation, and today I have a very special guest with me. Today's guest is actually a kick-ass entrepreneur who specializes in teaching entrepreneurs and startups on how to create profitable websites and take charge of their own digital destinies. He has hundreds of clients in 3 continents and his business is only just expanding. He is the director of Online Mastery Limited and is the author of the #1 international best-selling book, Plan Your Website, the 10 Steps Guide to an Online Strategy That Will Get Results, in which he basically over-delivers on value, and he has an outstanding, just absolutely outstanding reviews on Amazon for his book. Now, I've actually read it personally, so I've got a copy here which Steve very kindly gifted to me.
Oh, nice.
I've got the copy here, and as you can see, there are whole passages which are highlighted because it is just such a phenomenal book. I've read it personally, and it just gives you like super practical, really crystal clear strategies that literally anybody can follow to build a successful website. And currently he's actually writing his 2nd book. We might get into that in this interview if we have time. And he's also launched an online course which is already helping loads of business owners take control of their online presence. And very recently he was actually in Serbia speaking to like 500 plus young entrepreneurs about how they can grow their business online. And he also delivered a workshop to the Serbian House of Commons. He is Steve Woody. He's also part of the personal development scene. And actually in December 2016, last year, he shared the stage with the greats of personal development like Warren Ryan, JuVan Langford, and Ashley Zahabian. So please help me to welcome the playboy of the cyber world, who leaves a digital dent in the life of every entrepreneur that he touches, Mr. Steve Woody. Steve, thank you so much for being here.
So much. What an amazing introduction. The playboy of the cyber world. I might have to take that. I love it.
Awesome. Well, you can record it, play it on a loop at home if you so wish. I am absolutely cool with that.
Brilliant. You're amazing. I might have to just hire you to sort of follow me around and just like introduce me whenever I speak. That's an amazing introduction. I'm quite humbled by it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I think it's well deserved and well earned, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm really grateful that you were able to make the time to be here. That's awesome, man. Thank you.
No, it's good. I'm sorry if I'm a bit husky. I've got the flu, so I'm trying to show up, but if I cough, I just want to apologise in advance.
That's absolutely fine. You know what? I'm recovering from my flu just now. I had a flu last week, so it's all good. I know what it's like.
Yeah, it's annoying. I'm the person who says I never get ill and I can't use it anymore. So I'm just like I occasionally get ill, but I've been pushing hard. So I mean, it's expected. My body needed a rest.
Yeah, of course. Right, shall we jump into it?
Yeah, let's do it, my friend.
Awesome.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Right, so let's start from the start. Really, can you take us back to a time where you were really struggling? I know I've heard your story. It was really,
Which one?
powerful story.
Sure.
It's the story where you talk about being resourceful and how you leverage your resourcefulness. And the fact, how you went from essentially, not having anywhere to live to actually now building an empire afterwards. So if you don't mind just kind of taking us through that journey and what it was like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing for me is growing up, I had a really good upbringing, like a good childhood. I didn't have any stories that I could use or leverage from like a lot of these speakers I see on stage have got really good stories. And I was like, I don't have that. I had a good upbringing, a good childhood, a good family. And the challenge I feel that I had at the time is I felt misunderstood.
Right.
And I didn't realise it at the time because it's not until I look back, and it's always easier with hindsight to say, oh yeah, look, I can see that now.
Yeah.
But, my dad, typical working class, is a very stoic man, worked like 10 hours a day, provided for the family. I never really wanted for anything. But he had that sort of working mindset.
Yeah.
And my mum was also, she worked, but then she stopped working and, through medical conditions, she's not been working for a long time. And so I didn't really have the support from my family from the entrepreneurial side because they didn't understand it. That's not to say they couldn't give it to me, it's just that wasn't them.
Yeah.
And so anything that I'd learned entrepreneurial I kind of stumbled across. It was an accident.
Right.
And I never really it never took off until later in life. So like going back to when I was like 16, I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? I was like, I want to work in IT. And it was always like, I want to work in IT. I went through school, and my dad was always like trying to push me to get good qualifications and good grades. And, you know, I'd kind of flunked through school. I got told I was going to get like E's and F's in all my exams. And I sort of, in the last year, I kind of pulled my socks up and got like C's and D's, but I didn't really qualify. You know, I failed in business, which is ironic. You know, I failed in all of the things that I'm good at now. I failed in school.
Right.
And I tried to get a job in IT, and I had the same problem. I applied for hundreds and hundreds of jobs, and they all said you need experience. The problem was I couldn't get experience until I got the job. So I ended up working for free. And I actually become, like, for a better word, I actually become a bitch for someone, and I was just making their tea, and I wasn't actually doing anything. I wasn't really learning anything, and I was just getting frustrated being their dog's body, basically.
Yeah.
And so I decided I didn't want to do that. I went through various jobs. I worked in McDonald's. I worked in a pub. And I got to the point when I was almost I was 18, and I kind of thought, you know, I'm sick of this. I need to get out of my town. I need to get out of the environment. I mean, I was bored. Like, I'd go down the pub with my friends, and I'd play on a fruit machine because I was bored.
Yeah.
And I got so bored with conversations, and I saw this sign once on a bus, and it said, join the army, be the best. And so I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do it. And everyone told me I couldn't. And for me, like, if someone says I can't do something, it's like red rag to a bull. I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I'm so stubborn that everyone laughed at me. And even my dad laughed and said, you wouldn't last 5 minutes. And so I did 6 years in the army.
Wow.
And the thing is, it gave me the job security, and it turned me from a boy into a man. And it was an amazing experience. Yeah. But I still had that, like, inside me, I had that sort of entrepreneur bug that I can't really explain because I didn't understand it at the time, but I wanted fame and fortune. I didn't want job stability and security. I wanted to make a name for myself. Yeah. I didn't know how or why. So in 2006, I left the army, and what I didn't realize is that I've been conditioned at that point into living a certain way. You know, people think that if you come out of the army, then you're, you know, really resourceful, and it's true, you are to a degree, but you also have a lot of things done for you. Yeah. You know, like, you don't have to pay rent, you don't have to pay bills, you don't have to worry about anything. Like, you're just told where to be, when to be there, how to look, what kit to have, and so everything's done. Well, you do it yourself, but you're told everything. You know, you just follow orders. Yes. So when you come out into the real world and there's no orders to follow, and you're kind of your own man and you do your own thing, like, this is why so many people in the army struggle. Like, a statistic, and I don't know how accurate it is now, but 70% of the population of the homeless people in London are ex-forces. So I don't know how accurate that is now, but I know at the time when I was doing a lot of work with the homeless, that was a true fact. And it made me realise that when you leave the army, they say, are you okay? Can you stand up on your own? Are you all right? Okay, we're done. And then you're like, of course, when you leave, it's like shiny object. It's like, wow, you know, no one's going to tell me what to do or where to be or how to do it. And so you kind of, for the first 6, 12, 18 months, it's that shiny object syndrome. And it's not until you sort of get down the line, you go, I'm not a soldier anymore. I'm not a civilian. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a businessman. Like, what am I? Yeah. That's what people turn to. Like, I'm an alcoholic. I'm a, you know, gambler. And that was my vice. I got addicted to gambling. I went bankrupt. I was like 30, 40 grand in debt. Wow. Homeless 3 or 4 times. I lived in a car for 6 months. Wow. You know, I completely destroyed my family. And so I went through my version of hell. And it wasn't until, and I truly, truly believe, and I'm not going to go too deep into it now, but I truly believe that when you hit rock bottom, you make a choice. Like, there's a point in your life when you hit rock bottom, when you say, I'm either going to give up and end it, or I'm going to fight. And I'm going to find a way. And some people, they tend to just accept, and they just live like, this is my life. And, like, you know, everything gets on top of them, and they're just like, this is me now. And they're the ones that you see that are just like, trudging through life really unhappy. Or you can say, do you know what, fuck this is my life, I'm going to make it the way I want it to be. And I truly believe that you can't fire an arrow unless you pull it back. This is why I don't interrupt people's journey. If someone's going through shit, I'll leave them until they ask for help. When someone's ready for help, then I'll give it to them, and I'll do what I can to help them. But it's not my job or my place to pull someone out of that journey, because I do believe that our journeys define us. And, like, to answer your question, it's that journey that I've been through that's allowed me to be who I am today. Yes. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't be as strong and as confident and, you know, as successful as I am right now if I hadn't have gone through hell first.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wouldn't change it either.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And I think a lot of the stuff you said there really resonated with me. And it also actually reflects the stories of lots of other successful people who, like you mentioned earlier, actually had a really rough past, have had a really rough sort of, life in the past. And they then decided to take charge and say, no, this is not acceptable. I'm not going okay with this. I'm going to change things. And they took charge and they started to, make massive changes in their lives. But it all started by making changes in themselves, internal changes. And I think what you were talking about, the fact that you know that you went through hell, but you wouldn't change it. And that's really powerful, because a lot of the time people just say, I wish my problems go away. And that's not the right way to think about it. The right way to think about it is like, I wish I was stronger so I can deal with my problems. And then you start thinking
Absolutely.
about what is it that I need to do to become stronger, to be able to deal with those problems, instead of saying, I wish my problems go away. Because if those problems go away, you haven't learned anything, you haven't grown, become stronger. And when bigger problems come later on in life, what are you going to do then? You're not prepared for them.
Well, problems are a side of life, right? You're always going to have problems in life.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not about not having problems. It's just about being bigger than your problems so you can deal with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's really amazing. And the fact that, it's the journey that transforms you. When you get to the peak, that's not where the transformation occurs. Transformation occurs during the journey, and it's the journey that transforms you. And,
Absolutely.
You are a shining example of that. Somebody who went through that, their own version of hell. But the fact is that you took charge. You decided, no, I'm not going to stay here. I've hit rock bottom, and I'm not going to stay here, because the only thing after that is you start digging, right? You go even deeper. So you decided to take charge, and
here's the thing, right? This is what I've learned. This is probably one of the biggest lessons that, with hindsight, I can look back and say, I wish I'd known that earlier.
Right.
When I was started out on my journey of like trying to figure out who I am and when I was at rock bottom, I had a certain mindset. Like, I was like, imagine playing a computer game. This is the best way I can explain it, right? You start at level 1, right? And like you evolve and your character like gets stronger as you go through the game. Like, but when you're at like level 5 or 10, like, I don't know, imagine it like your age. Like, when I was at like level 30, like in my life, I'd evolved to a certain point, and I had certain skills and attributes, and I had like a mindset, and I had knowledge, and I had a story, and I had certain things that I could pull upon, like my model of the world. Yeah. But I couldn't see what like level 35 was going to be like. I couldn't see into the future. Like, I could imagine, I want to be here. Like you say, like there's that precipice where you're like, I want to hit that point. But the thing is, between here and here, like as you evolve on that journey, and as you change, because you change, it's not the destination that changes you, it's the journey. And as you change on the journey, so does your goalposts. And so it's never obtainable, because as you evolve and grow, so does your dreams and desires. And so you're always pushing. And so you need to be comfortable with that. So for me, it's like, I can look back now and say, wow, do you know what? I could never, ever have imagined being where I am right now. Like, and just the last, like, there are so many people, and this is one of the things that really irritates me with the personal development world. And if I'm going to go on a rant, it's going to be over the fact that there are so many coaches. And when I say coach, I use that term loosely, because there are a lot of people that have listened to a Tony Robbins podcast and call themselves a life coach. And there's a lot of people out there who are like regurgitating other people's advice and passing it off as their own and pretending to be an expert when they're not. And so there's a diluted marketplace, and people who don't understand the industry come into the industry and get caught up in that really, like, the people that don't charge for their time, or that don't really, value themselves properly, and they're trying, and I get it, everyone's on their journey, like they're trying to make something, but it kind of, it devalues the marketplace, I find. And so what happens, and what I found, is that, like, people will come into this world and like I see all these people and they're streaming memes on social media, you know, or quotes, like inspirational quotes, or like they're posting their opinions. But when shit goes wrong, when they have a big problem, or not even a big problem, when they have multiple little problems at the same time, because that's the killer. Like, you can deal with one thing and you can deal with a separate thing, but when they both happen together, it's like, whoa. And so, like, last year in my life, like, every single one of my dominoes that I'd lined up, they all fell down at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sitting there and I was like, my life is a mess. What do I do? And it was at that point, like, no inspirational quote and no meme and no pat on the back and no, come on, mate, was really going to help. I had to go deep inside. And I had to actually start to, like, leverage and apply all of the things that I'd been learning. And that's when I like going to bed at night and putting on a podcast and, like, listening to stuff while I sleep to try and subliminally, like, get it. It all kicked in. Like, the years of work that I've done on myself. Because one of the best quotes that I ever heard was actually from an ex-girlfriend of mine and it was, I wasn't trying to coach her, but well, apparently in her eyes I was. I didn't realize it. But, you know, I was trying to help her and she turned around and said, you know what? Personal development is exactly that. It's personal. Work on yourself. And I was like, wow, there are so many coaches out there trying to work on other people. No one's working on themselves. And so to me, it's all about taking the tools, taking the resources, taking what works and using it on yourself. That's what I did. And that's why I managed to overcome all of the adversity that I have in the last year. I'm the strongest that I have ever been. Like, like, it doesn't matter what is thrown at me, I can deal with it. And it's like exactly coming back to that point of what you said about when you have a problem, I'm a donkey. I'm not clever. I'm not overly smart. I'm the type of person that you can put as much as you want on my back. And I am so stubborn that I will just keep moving forward. And that's the soldier in me. That's from the army, you know. Put a backpack on and I'll march. That's what I do. But I do it in business now. I've just changed my focus. And so for me, it's like I can be homeless. Like, materialistic things don't bother me. To me, it's about the journey. It's about the experience. I'm not looking for a destination. I'm just looking to enjoy the time I've got here. Like, we've all got a limited amount of time, and we're all doing the best we can with what we've got. So as you said, it's not about the destination. It's about getting there. And where you're heading anyway, like that outcome that you're aiming for, it's going to evolve. It's going to change. So you need to be agile. You need to be able to adapt, improvise, and overcome. So that's my biggest learning looking back, is that what I thought was my outcome was not my outcome. And you'll never actually obtain what it is you're looking for because it's a dream. You're not meant to attain your dreams. They're dreams. If you get everything you want, you'd be bored. There's only so long you can sit on a beach sipping cocktails before you miss the grind. And anyone that says, no, I won't, obviously is still in the grind, because I get it. But I'm just saying, looking at both sides of it, I've had money and I've had no money, and I can see what it's like to be on both sides. It's interesting how people get so caught up on a story. Whatever, like everybody, we all have a story. I've got one now. I've got my own story. And everyone's got that story, and it just depends on whether you let that story define you or whether you define it.
Very true. Very, very true. And everything you said there was just so inspirational, so real, that it's just absolute gold. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And
well, look, I hope it resonates with someone. Like, if you're listening to this right now, I don't script anything I do. When I get on stage, when I got on stage with Les Brown, when I got on stage at Warren, when I went over to Serbia, as you mentioned, it was a Chamber of Commerce. We were speaking there. I did a workshop. And we spoke in a theatre there. We, did a lot of stuff. I'm going out to Italy in a couple of days. I'm going out to Africa next month. Then I'm going out to Bulgaria, then Sofia, then back to Serbia. I'm even in talks about doing a tour in Asia at the moment. Like, I don't prepare or plan for anything, and that's not to say I'm not prepared. But the reason that I don't, I freak out if I have a structure to my talks. Like, even when we talk right now, I was like, let's just jump into it, right? Because I know it, because I've lived it, because it's me. Like, this is everything that I embody and empower and I believe in. I've lived it. I know it. I can recall anything from my personal, my business life to you verbatim. Like, I don't need to script and write it out to be able to do it. Like, when you get to a point where you know your stuff that well, like, that to me is true mastery. And when you get that, when you understand that, then, like, problems, they'll always be there, but they're problems, right? It doesn't matter what comes up in my life, I'll deal with it.
So powerful, so powerful. And the fact is, you mentioned so much stuff there that is just absolute gold. But I think one of the things you mentioned there that was, super powerful was the fact that, you just grind, right? For people, it's like they want everything, they want it instantly, they want it to be like an overnight success. They want somebody to come and, kind of hand it all to them, but they're not willing to put in the grind. And if they are given an opportunity to say, hey, here's an opportunity, if you work hard, you will get somewhere, they're just like, oh, the amount of work I have to put in, I'm not really sure I want to do this. And they back off. But you are somebody who actually, thrives off that, right? You enjoy the hustle, right?
Yes, but
right.
And here's the thing, right? I never used to be. So I've learned, like, again, if I can just like give you some hindsight, like this is another massive epiphany and life lesson that I've uncovered recently. And when I say recently, I'm talking about this year.
Right.
And so we're like in May right now. Like this is like, we're talking like in the last 5 months, this has been a massive, and it all started from a video that I watched. If you've seen, there's a guy called Simon Sinek who did a video, and he talks about the millennials.
Yeah.
And one of the things he talks about, and it's really powerful, is the dopamine hit. And so when I look back to my past and I look back to my gambling addiction, it wasn't really a gambling addiction per se. I wasn't addicted to gambling. I was addicted to dopamine. I was addicted to getting that instant gratification of earning money quickly.
Yeah.
And I wanted that lifestyle. And so for me, I've always been addicted to the dopamine hit. I get the same thing on social media. I love doing a Facebook Live because when I'm getting like 40, 50 people on a Facebook Live, and when I'm getting like hundreds and thousands of comments and likes on like videos, and like that's a dopamine hit for me.
Yeah.
And so for me, the addiction is wherever I get the instant gratification. Whether that is gambling, whether that is social media. And social media is like the worst drug out there at the moment.
Yes.
I think I'd rather my daughter like smoke weed than do social media. Like if I was given a choice.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's kind of like when I look at like what dopamine does, and when I look at instant gratification, I don't know anybody who's successful who thrives on instant gratification. The people that have got lasting, long-term, sustainable success.
Yes.
And they're key words that I've used there, sustainable, long-term. Because like we can all go out and like get a picture in a Ferrari and be like, hey, look at me, I'm successful. And sell a few things and make a little bit of money. But to be sustainable, you need delayed gratification. You have to be willing to put in the work, to grind, to actually get off your ass and go and do. Like knowledge is only potential power. Like you can learn, you can read as many books as you want, but if you don't apply what you learn, it's worthless.
Yeah.
And so the application in the action, that's where the real power is.
Yes.
In taking action. But you can also, like, you can argue the fact that I could take action and I could work hard and not smart. So, like, I could work 20 hours a day at McDonald's, right? And I'm taking action, but I'm not being smart.
Yeah.
So you need to read the books to get smart, and then you need to apply the action to actually get the results that work for you, whatever those results are for you.
Love it.
So for me, it's delayed gratification, reading the books, applying the action to get the results, and not spending 10 years to do it and not doing it in 2 minutes. It's like there's something to be said for working for something. You appreciate there's a value. Like if I give you a Ferrari, you might be happy with it, you might appreciate it, but you're not going to clean it every day. You're not going to appreciate it the same way as if you had to work for 20 years to save up for it.
Yes.
There's a different value. There's a different appreciation that you give to things.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I truly believe that, as we said before, it's not about the outcome. It's not about making the money. It's about putting in the systems and the processes and creating something that you can be proud of, that generates the income, that gives you the self-worth, that allows you to help other people. Yeah. If you can create that, you've won. Yeah. And if you enjoy the process, then it's game over. You've won. It's like there's nothing else to do. Yeah. Yeah. But when you get to that point, you enjoy it. So you don't mind. You're not chasing. Like, I don't chase anymore. I'm where I am. I know where I am. Yeah. I know what I've got to do, where I've got to do it, and I have days when I struggle, and I have months when things go wrong. Yeah. And so you deal with it. You go, okay, here's a problem. How can I solve that problem? What's a couple of opportunities for me? Okay, so here's plan A, here's plan B in case I need it. Yeah. I'm going to focus on plan A. This is what I'm going to do. I put some KPIs in place so I can monitor the progress, and I set out and I'm like, right, okay. And then I automate as much of it as I can.
Yeah, yeah.
I can automate as much of the process, so I'm involved where I need to be involved, and then it's just a case of letting it run its course.
Yeah,
and I can delay the gratification, knowing that it has to go through that course before I get to the outcome.
Yeah.
But knowing that it's in place, like when I started this year, you've got to understand I was £50,000 in debt, going through a divorce.
Yeah.
So I'd spent the last year bringing my wife over to this country, sorting out the visa, getting married, having a life together, getting our dream house. Everything was perfect. And then I started this year getting divorced, moving out of my dream house, being homeless again. In February 14th, I was effectively homeless again. I didn't declare myself homeless because I've got a big enough network and I've got enough resources around me now. Yeah. But I was 50 grand in debt. And so I had to decide what I was going to do. Like, how do I, this is a problem, right? Getting divorced is a problem.
Yeah.
Like, being homeless and moving out of my dream home, that's a problem. Yeah. Being 50 grand in debt, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, now each of them you could probably argue that you could deal with, but when all of them come at once, it's like, I'm like, okay, what do I do? Right, I'm getting divorced. Can I save my marriage? No, I can't. Okay, right, so it's done. Put in the process for the divorce, that's done. Emotionally, I'll deal with that, but I'm looking at it logically from a business perspective. Okay, so I'm moving out my house. What do I do? I need to look where I move. Do I move into a friend's place? Do I get my own place? What do I do? How do I do it? And so it worked out through whatever reason it did that I landed on my feet in an amazing place. You know, I live in Greenwich in London. I've got a beautiful room with a beautiful office, a beautiful housemate. I'm very, very blessed and very lucky to be where I am at the moment. I'm loving being back in London. It's opened up so many opportunities for me. Yeah. And then in February, I did a Facebook Live. You might remember it, but I did a Facebook Live and I basically said, you know what? I've got all of my assets, all of my products. I put the whole lot together. I bundled it for like £300, everything I've ever made, and I sold 10 of them at once. I was like, wow, I just made £3 off a Facebook Live that was like 5 minutes long. Yeah. Wow, there's something in this. So then I started to package it all together, and I actually created what is now my 6-week course. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I'm going to bring up, I had this vision in my head. And this is what I'm saying about being flexible, is that I said I was going to sell 100 places on a course that I was going to run, a 6-week course. Yeah. Now, looking back, that's insane. I couldn't possibly work with 100 people, not on my own. You know, I actually, and the idea was if it was £1,000, 100 people, that was £100,000. Yeah. By the time I paid off my tax, because I'm a good boy, paid off my tax and paid off my business costs, paid off my debt, paid off everything else, had some money left over. That was my plan. Yeah. But I failed. I didn't sign up 100 people. I actually signed up 20. Right. But I still made £20,000, and also I took on another client who did a big website build for. So like in March, I made 30 grand in March. Wow. Now, I'd never made that sort of money before in my life. That's an annual salary for me. Yeah. So now I'm like, do you know what? This works. Yeah. Hold on a minute. Maybe I can do this again. So recently, obviously, it was a 6-week course. Then I had 2 weeks off. So we're talking about the beginning of June. I run it again. I doubled the price and half the numbers. Yeah. So I'm like £2,000 for 10 people. Yeah. And do you know what? I've got people like, where do I sign up? Because now I've got the case studies, I've got the testimonials, I've got the model, it works, I'm helping people. Yeah. I'm realising now, and I'm starting to adapt and change what I do and how I do it. I'm speaking all over the world, I'm being flown out to do things, everything's being paid for. I'm not investing my time, money and energy I'm not investing my money anymore, I'm just my time and energy. Yeah. And so as a result, that cost isn't there anymore. Now I'm starting to get paid to speak as well. Yeah. So not only am I not paying to speak, I'm actually getting paid to speak. Plus I've got my course. Plus, so like everything's just coming in. Because I just said, you know what? I should, like industry standard, be sitting in bed with some ice cream watching Netflix, crying, going, my life's a mess. Yeah. Because that's like, do you know what I mean? I've had enough crap go on that, but I'm like, do you know what? No, like how can I fix these problems? Yeah. What can I do to, as it happens, where I am right now, I'm in what I would consider the absolute best place of my life right now. Wow. Like, if I could take a snapshot right now, I wouldn't change a thing. But there's things that could improve and there's things that could, change, but delayed gratification, I'll get there. Yeah. I don't need it all now. Yeah. I'm totally happy with where I am. Yeah. Yeah. And so if I can instill in anybody the fact that if you just look at where you are, what's that story that you're telling yourself that's holding you back? Yeah. And how can you just change that story to look to the future so that you don't get the instant gratification, but you set yourself up with a plan, systemize and automate as much of it as possible. Yeah. Like if you're in debt, great, be in debt. Set up a payment plan, speak to all your debtors and just say, do you know what, I'm going to pay you this amount this month, put it on standing order and just be done with it. Yeah. And then focus on wealth creation and focus on making money. Yeah. Don't focus on the debt.
Yeah, very true.
Always very true. Problems are always going to be there, but it's not about it's about being bigger than you. It's like we're going back to that same thing, right? For me, it's not about what I've got. And I know I'm ranting and waffling on, but I get into flow and I'm passionate about this. I'll give you an example. When I wanted to record my course, like, and I'm sitting here in my office now and I'm looking at, I've got all my soundproofing and I've got my nice microphone and, you know, I've got all my lighting and everything set up. And like, for me, it was like, I can't record my course unless I get a new laptop. So I've got a new laptop and it's like, now I need to get a new microphone. I was like, now I need a shock mount. Now I need the boom arm. Now I need the cover. Now I need extra monitors. So I've got like 2 extra monitors. I need to soundproof my room and I need the lighting and I need to move because there's too much background on. And like, I had all of these, like, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need, do you know what? I got it all. I'm sitting here. I've got all of this stuff and I'm still not recording my course.
Yeah.
And yet there are people out there that have got none of it who are recording courses and making money because it's the action.
Yes. Yes.
And so what I've realized is that you can procrastinate and you can tell yourself a story as to why you can't have something. But until you get over that, until you overcome that and deal with it and just like, do you know what? I'm just going to do it. Like, get version 1 out as quickly as possible. Like, minimum viable product. 80% Pareto Principle. Just get it out there. And then start working on version 2 as quickly as you can. Right, version 1, get it out there, dirty and live, like, not crap, but just so it works, and then work on version 2 and polish it as quickly as you can. Because then I know people that spend years building stuff that the market doesn't even want. And by the time they launch it, the market doesn't even need. And they've wasted all this time and effort. Get it out there, the marketplace will determine the value, make sure it works, and then refine it. And that's what I've learned, that I can tell myself that I need all of these things. It's not about the resources. It's not what you've got. It's what you do with what you've got. And this is what I've always said. This is why I've always been the person. Like, when I was homeless, I used to walk into hotels, I'd sit down, I'd eat the continental breakfast, and I'd walk out again. I'm not saying it's right, but I was resourceful. I walked in like I belonged there. And hotels don't question you, you know? I used to go to a casino, and I had £5 in chips. And what I would do is I would cash that into, I would take £5 note, cash it into chips, and I would walk around a casino all night. Because at that time, they don't do it anymore, unfortunately, but at that time, they will give you free food, they will give you free sandwiches and free tea and coffee to keep you in the casino. Plus it was warm. So I would walk around all night with £5 worth of chips, eat and drink all night, and then I'd cash out my £5 at the end of the night and I'd get on the train. And then I'd sit on the train all day. So even though I was homeless, I was resourceful. So it's about how can you be resourceful? How can you use what you've got around you to your advantage?
Very true and very, very powerful. And so much stuff. Again, you drop so much value there. It's absolutely phenomenal. Sorry. I love it. And, you know, you talk about a lot of things. Again, you go into a lot of detail in terms of your personal experiences in life. And that's beautiful that you're being so transparent and vulnerable and sharing that with us. Because it really gives people an insight into, you know, what, you know, life was like for you at that point. But what exact steps did you follow? What mindset did you have at that point that allowed you to then get to here? And by the way, congratulations on, you know, launching your new course. And I know you're working on a second book as well, and everything else that's going on. I mean, everything's kind of coming together for you right now. So seriously, I just want to congratulate you and say, you know, seriously, man, awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
You're doing
amazing.
Do
you know what? I think it's the thing that I'm trying to do at the moment, the thing that I'm working on right now is I'm working on the balance between the masculine and the feminine energy, because there's a part of me where, I mean, there's always going to be an ego involved. You have to have an ego. Like, people that say, oh, that person's got an ego. Like, there's nothing wrong with having an ego. You need it to be confident, to be assertive, to be able to do the things you want to do if you want to make it in this world, to stand out. But it's making sure that ego doesn't become arrogance, and making sure, like, I don't want to be like, yeah, my life's great, look at me, everything's going really, because I'm humble enough to know that shit could go wrong at any moment. And what I don't want is for people to look at me and go, he's a twat, and then when I fall over, like, the only reason, and I can't stress this enough, the only reason that I am where I am right now is because of the people that I have around me. When I fall down, they pick me up. When they fall down, I pick them up. We're a team. I've got my inner circle. I've got my close friends that I can count on one hand. I've got my inner tribe, my people that I work with. I've got my mentors. I've got my coaches. I've got my people, my friends that I look up to. I've got the people who I keep at a distance but are still there. I've got the people that are estranged who, like, I used to hang around with but don't anymore, but still see what they're up to and try and keep touch. But there's all these different levels in our social environment, and it's important to be able to dip in and out of any of them, and to be humble enough to know that it's why I still do a lot of charity work. It's why I still do a lot of the giving back that I do. I don't want to be one of these successful douchebags. I don't want to be someone who's like, I've got money, I've made it, you know, sort yourself out. Like, I want to take as many people on this journey with me, because I don't want to interrupt anyone who's on their journey, but also I don't want anyone to experience what I've been through. So if I can help people to avoid that pain, I'll try. And if anybody wants the tools and the resources to be able to get them out of where they are, then, you know, as long as you've got the mindset, like for me, it's like about healthy mind, healthy body, healthy life. Like if you're overweight, it's because mentally you're not determined or you're not committed enough to work out and to eat healthy and to work out. So your body is a reflection of your mind. And so for me, I totally believe that if you have a healthy mind, you'll have a healthy body. If you look and feel strong, then like physically, then mentally you will look and feel strong.
Very true.
And so they're all aligned and they work together. And like right now, mentally, I've trained my mind to be at the point now where I'm like, and I still wobble. I still wobble. I mean, it's really important to know that there's no such thing as perfection. You know, perfection is its own imperfection in a way. I still make mistakes. I still mess up. I still get things wrong. You know, one of my quotes is, I know I'm going to be successful because I'm running out of things to do wrong.
Very, very
thing
powerful.
Is, I do things wrong. I get things wrong all the time. It's just that I've adapted and I overcome it. Like, it's damage limitation. When I do something wrong, I recover quickly. I don't dwell on it. You know, I look at my loss, I look at what goes wrong, and I'm like, right, how can I learn from that? How can I make sure I don't make that same mistake? And I pivot and I change and I do what works. And I keep going and I keep going. And that's what I said, I'm a donkey. You put something on my back and I keep walking. And I'll do so many things wrong until I get it right, and then I'll hone in on that. But you can't know what you're going to do in this life until you've experienced a lot of different things. That's why I've worked everywhere from, you know, being a head chef in a restaurant, to being a plasterer, to being a lorry driver, to being a business owner, like to printing t-shirts, to building websites, to doing business cards, to busking, to like, you name it. I've done everything you can imagine. I've had every type of job, so that I can understand what's right for me. Like, I need a broad spectrum, which is why now I can pull upon all those resources in any situation, and I can help people. Because I've put in the time and the effort and the experience.
Very true.
Knowledge will only take you so far.
Very true.
Need experience. That's where the real power is.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And again, I just want to touch upon just a couple of things that you said there. Super powerful. Number one, you said that, you know, you have a really strong network around you, and it's the people who actually pull you up. I always, you know, drill this into the people, you know, who actually subscribe to the channel and watch these videos, that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Absolutely.
So you need to have a very strong, you know, and kind of uplifting network that allows you to, in a sense, you know, grow and, you know, helps you when you most need it. And that's very important. And the second thing you talk about is that, you know, everything that you went through before prepared you to be able to deal with these really big problems that all came your way all at the same time. And that's also something really important to realize for people who are watching this, because what you go through essentially helps you grow into a better version of yourself, so that when in the future you do have to deal with bigger issues, you know, or bigger scale issues, then you are better prepared to deal with them. And there's actually something that I totally believe in, and that's the fact that we shouldn't look at our problems as problems. We should look at our problems as projects. And if you start looking at each of your problems as a project, it suddenly has a positive kind of you know, association related to it, because at the end of a project, you get some sort of reward. You get an accomplishment, right? So if you start viewing your problems as projects, like, I've got this project to deal with, this ongoing project, this new project that just came my way, I just got to deal with it. It's a much healthier way to think about your problems. And that's exactly what you did, which is why you were able to pull yourself out of those really kind of sticky situations, and now you're in a much healthier place, and you got a smile plastered all over your face from ear to ear, right? And that's
I love it. Love it.
So just quickly wanted to touch upon those things. And I think what we'll do is maybe take the conversation in a slightly different, to a slightly different direction. So I know you work a lot with entrepreneurs, and you're an entrepreneur yourself. And the fact that, you know, you've mentioned earlier that you've always had that entrepreneurial fire inside of you from a very young age, and you wanted to explore that further. And, you know, now you've built essentially an empire around you, and it's still growing, and that's fantastic. So really, what is some of the most useless or inaccurate advice out there that entrepreneurs are actually following and they don't even realize it?
What an amazing question. I love this question. Because there's so much of it, right? There is, we are, like, there's two things that I see in the marketplace these days. There's content and there's context.
Right.
And people seem to be missing the context to just get content out. And so what I would say is that the biggest challenge I see at the moment is people have become lazy. And rather than, like, what I noticed with myself is that people would ask me a question and I would go and look up the answer, and then I would come back and give them the answer, and I'm like, that's the single defining factor that stands me out to everyone else, is that I'm resourceful, is that I'll find, like, I'm the type of person, if you come to me with a problem and I don't know, I'll say, I don't know, but I'll find out. And I'll go away and I'll find out. And it's my ability to solve problems. That's all an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is someone who has the ability to solve problems. Like, I don't just look at my niche and my industry. I could be out and I could be like, oh my God, this is an amazing idea, or this is a great concept. And I could, like, and I sit down with people sometimes, and like I'm doing with you now, I'll just go, rah, and I'll come out with this, like, off the top of my head, this whole model around how people can utilize it in different areas and different businesses. And so I'm actually involved in many, many, many different businesses, and I have shares in different companies and different things because I like to get involved, like as a proper entrepreneur in that sense. But what I find is that a lot of entrepreneurs who, like, attach to the word because it's cool and it's like the good thing to do, is they will go onto social media and say, how do I fix this problem? And they don't go and research it themselves, or, oh, how do I do this? And then what happens is they get two things, and these are the two problems. One, they get people that aren't even their target market. They just get friends or acquaintances or people they don't even know that they've added on social media, giving them advice with no context as to what the real problem is. You know, and I'll give you an example around websites. This is the most typical question I see all the time. People say, what hosting provider should I use? Or who should I host my website with? And people go, you should use this or this or this or this or this. And I sit there and I just go, do you know what? I used to get involved. Now I don't even bother. I just, next. Because for me, it's a waste of my time. Because the challenge is, unless you ask better questions, are you going to do webinars? Because if you are, then you could have a lot of people on a webinar that hit your website at the same time. So you need to be able to accommodate a large influx of traffic at the same time. How many visitors are you going to have? What country are your visitors in? Are you going to have a lot of media on your site? Like, there are all these different, do you need SSL certificates? Do you need control? Do you want it maintained for you? Like, when you start to ask these sort of questions, you start to get better answers. You can look at better solutions. So the most useless information out there is the general advice. Where people are giving advice based on their opinion without actually asking decent questions and without actually knowing the context of why that first question was asked in the first place. There's too much noise out there and it's useless. And it does me well because that's why I'm successful. Like, I've honed down my customer avatar. I used to work with startups. I don't work with startups anymore. People work with me, they have to have a product or service and they have to be selling it. And ideally now, my ideal customer already has a website that's not performing because they've got out there and they've said, I need a website. And someone said, go to Wix, go to Squarespace, go to Weebly, go to here, go to there, go onto Fiverr.com. You know, like, people, they'll go there, they'll make the mistake, they'll get burnt, they'll invest their time, money and energy, they'll realize it doesn't work, and then they'll come to me and I'll say, right, now let's do it properly. But if people don't have that pain to start with, then they don't appreciate the work that goes in. So I need people who are hungry, who are motivated, who have a good product or service that the marketplace wants. Because here's the other thing, that's one useless bit of advice is, like, the general noise.
Yeah.
The second is people pricing themselves based on their opinion.
True.
Like, I don't give a shit what you charge.
Yeah.
Like, you charge what you want to charge, but the only way that your value is determined is by what people pay for it.
Yeah.
You can tell me you charge £1,000 an hour, that's great, but if no one's buying, you're not worth it. Like, you have to have paying customers at whatever you are charging yourself at. I see all these people are like, this is worth £10,000, but we're going to do it at 5, no 4, no 3, no 2, no, you can have it for £50 a day. It's £10,000, it's £10,000. Charge it at what it's worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I keep my prices low because I know my market, because I know what people want to pay, and I want to help people, and I'm confident and I'm happy in what I do. If people want my time, it's expensive. But I know that I have paying customers, and I don't need to push my time anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to push my time anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like the second most useless thing that I see are people that are just pulling a number out the air and saying, this is what I'm charging. You need to look at the competition in the marketplace. If there's no competition, great. There's a great book. It's called Red Ocean, Blue Ocean, or Blue Ocean, Red Ocean. I don't know if you've read it. It's a famous book.
I haven't read it, but I'll write it down and I'll put it below in the description of the videos.
I always get it mixed up. It's either Red Ocean, Blue Ocean, or Blue Ocean, Red Ocean. I always get it mixed up. But a friend of mine, Russell Brunson, was talking about it recently. He's doing a massive launch at the moment. He's got all the big influencers in the world, like Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone. Everyone's promoting his new book. And he talks about this in one of his videos.
Right.
If you go into a marketplace and there's nobody else in that marketplace, it's a blue ocean. It's like crystal clear waters.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody else comes into that marketplace with you and you start fighting over customers, the waters get bloody, and all of a sudden it's a red ocean. And so the idea is you want to be in a blue ocean. You don't want to be in a red ocean. You don't want to be competing with everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the only way you can determine the value of what you do is what people are willing to pay for what, you know. If you're in a crowded marketplace, price goes down. If you're the only person doing something, price goes up.
Yeah.
But it always depends on whether people are willing to pay for it. Now, why do you think people queue outside the Apple store? Why do you think people have like Tesla? Look at Tesla, like one of the most successful product launch in the history of the world.
Yeah.
On a product that doesn't even exist. They haven't even got the manufacturing plant, and yet they've done the most successful product launch in the world without even having a product.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
When you start to consider how the world works, we all buy based on emotion. We are human beings, we are emotional creatures. Why do you think, if you go to YouTube and look at the top 10 viewed videos of all times, why do you think they are all music videos?
Yeah.
Because the quickest way that you can convey emotion to someone is through music.
Yeah.
If you're feeling sad, put on a certain song. You know, you listen to certain music, it opens certain emotions. Like you think of an ex-partner, or you think of a good time you had, or you think sad. Like, music works.
Yeah.
And so when you can convey, like through storytelling, that emotion, when you can capture people's emotions, and you can do that through storytelling, then you can sell. Or when you can sell and people will buy from you, then you've got perceived value in a marketplace. That's it. In a nutshell, that's business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finding a problem, having a solution to that problem, and then articulating the value in a way that whoever's buying it understands it and is willing to pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Very nice. Very nice.
So I know that I've given you the worthless things, but I kind of wanted to give you something of value to go with it as well.
Yeah, no, I love it. No, absolutely. Whatever you shared there was just absolute genuine gold. So yeah, thank you so much. Love it. I absolutely love it. I do want to kind of ask you about any advice you can possibly give entrepreneurs in terms of how they can filter through that noise. Because you talked about there is a lot of noise out there, and it's really actually easy to get lost in that noise. So maybe if you don't mind just sharing some advice with us about how you can actually filter through that noise.
Absolutely. It comes back to what we said before. It's the dopamine hit. It's instant gratification. You need to avoid instant gratification and go for delayed success. The way you do that, you need to get certain on what it is you want. Right? If you're not sure at the moment, then that's great, but don't try and be an entrepreneur on something when you're not sure about it. It's not like, oh, I kind of want to do this and I kind of want to do that. Like, search and look and do a lot of different things, but you need to get certain on what you want to do. Yeah. Because once you're certain on what you want to do, the next step, the next thing you need to know is you need to know, like, in fact, I talk about this in my 6-week course. And the reason I do it is because this is exactly what people need to know. The first thing you need to know, like, people come to me and say, I need a website. You don't need a website. First thing you need to know is, have you got a viable business? Yeah. Like, I don't look at the website anymore. I go up a level. I'm like, let's look at the business. Because if I build you a kick-ass website and your business isn't sustainable, then it's going to break.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that you know your numbers. How much money are you looking to earn, and can your business generate that? What products and services can you create, and is there a marketplace? You need a marketplace that's going to buy your products and services to give you what you need. Simple maths. That's all. Business is simple maths.
Yeah.
So figure that out first. That's your first step. Once you've got that and you know that, the second thing, the most important thing you need to know is, who is your customer avatar? Who specifically are you selling to? Like, are they male or female? Where do they live? How old are they? What do they like? And what you're trying to identify is, what is their biggest pain?
Yes.
Not their problem. You need to know what their problems are. But like, I'll give you an example. Recently, my dad had an oil leak on his car. That's a problem.
Yeah.
But that's not the pain. The pain is my stepmom nagging him that he's going to get oil on the driveway. So when you target and when you message and when you talk and convey and when you're dealing with the emotion, people will do more to avoid pain than they will to get pleasure.
Yeah.
So if I can hook into, is your wife nagging you about leaving oil in the driveway? We can fix your car quickly and easily.
Yeah.
I've hooked into the pain that he can feel and resonate with, and I've offered him a simple solution.
Yeah.
That's it. Game over.
Yeah.
Once you've done that, you've won.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then don't try and flood the marketplace where, like, too many internet marketers try and sell like internet marketing stuff to internet marketers, or too many life coaches try and coach coaches.
Yeah.
You know, people go to Tony Robbins and they try and get other coaches and they try and sell their coaching service to other coaches. Like, if you're a coach, great, be a coach, but take your coaching and take it to the fitness industry, or take it to farmers, or take it to someone that doesn't understand the industry. Because when you take something from a red ocean and you go and put it in a blue ocean, it's like what we mentioned before, that is when you can thrive.
Yeah.
You need to know your numbers, you need to know your customer avatar, then you need to understand your products, your sales funnels, your systems, then you need to work on your marketing. Too many people are like, I want to run Facebook ads. And what to? I'll focus on two things. The two things I focus on is traffic and conversion.
Right.
You need to get here's the thing. This is what I tell people. There is something worse than having no customers.
Right.
Having the wrong customer.
Yeah.
If you have the wrong customer, that is like a terrorist in your business. And it can do more damage than good.
Yeah.
So having no customers is not a bad place to be. Having a clean slate is good.
Yeah.
Having to like clean up the problems, that's bad.
Yeah.
So rather than like just saying, oh, who are you selling to? Everybody. No. Be specific. Know exactly who you're targeting, know what their pain is, and know how you solve their pain. Because once you can solve their pain and you can productize that and automate that, then you can scale.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, in fact, as a human being, your most valuable resource is your time.
Yes.
And you cannot get it back.
Yes.
And that is why when you give your time to people, they should value it. Don't waste your time on people that don't appreciate it, and don't spend your time on things that aren't going to give you a bigger return.
Yeah.
Allow you to do things that you want to do. My business runs because it gives me options to do other things. That's all I do. I'm an entrepreneur. I fix problems.
Yeah.
Right? But at the end of the day, I'm a human being and I want to live. I want to enjoy my life.
Yeah.
So it's about creating a lifestyle that I enjoy and that I love.
Yeah.
There's no outcome. It's just about every day. I wake up, I feel great. I have an amazing life. I love what I'm doing. And it's all about just that journey.
Yeah.
So my biggest advice would be to people to find their journey, whatever that may be.
Very true. Very, very true. Just absolutely just astounded by the amount of value you again dropped there. Just everything you shared there is so simple, practical, and useful, and more importantly, applicable to everybody. You really, I think, went into a lot of detail and dissected it for people. So if you're watching this video, I think, up till now, Steve has gone into tremendous amount of detail on everything to try and dissect every single thing for you guys. So there's nothing to then, for you to think about, like, oh, I'm not quite sure about that. Like, Steve has just laid it all out for you. So thank you so much for that. I love it. I absolutely love it.
No, it's a pleasure. Two things. If you take anything away from this whole conversation, because you might have to watch this back and listen to it a couple of times, I totally get that.
Yeah.
If you take anything away, here are two things. One, keep it simple. Do not overcomplicate things. We live in a world of noise where things are too complicated.
Yeah.
And the real power right now, because time is our most valuable asset, make sure that things are simple, they're understandable, and people can get it. So if you can make things simple, that's step one. Step two, and this is probably the most important thing if you're going to take anything away from this conversation, is that you need to take action.
Yeah.
Make it really simple and then take action on it. If you overcomplicate it, you won't take action. Make it simple, take action.
Yeah.
And then monitor the results. See what works, avoid what doesn't, focus on what does.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Very true.
Simple action.
Very, very true. Very, very true. Okay, I want to maybe try and build on the question I asked before. So I want to ask you, like, if there's new entrepreneurs who have got a great idea and they are trying to set something up, whether that is a blog, whether that is an actual physical product, whether that is some sort of service they're offering, they're trying to set something up. What is the best way for them to build an audience and to actually, in a sense, monetize their passion?
Great question. Great question. So the very, very first thing that I would do, is get what is called a minimum viable product, MVP. Right. I would get a product, anyone who goes in to look for an investment, the first thing they do is build a prototype. Because you do not want to spend too much time, energy, and resources building something if you don't know if it's going to be successful.
Yeah.
So you have to build an MVP.
Yeah.
Something that works that you can test the marketplace with.
Yeah.
Then what I would do is I would identify who are 5 or 10 people that you consider to be your customer avatar.
Yeah.
Just 5 or 10 people, and if you have to go out and physically, manually find them, that's great. Not your friends, not your family, not your mum and dad, not your best friend, not your partner, but people that would give you their money for your product if it was on sale.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is I would offer them, not for free, but say, hey, this is a product or a service that I've created. This is what it costs. I'm willing to give you access or give you this product or service in return for you going through it, documenting the process and giving me a case study, not a testimonial. Because, it's great. That's not worth shit.
Yeah.
What you want to know is, where are they before? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are they before? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are they after? You need measurable facts, numbers, measurable numbers. So you can say, they were at 50%, they're now at 150. They were 8 stone, they're now 6 stone. They were this, they're now that. You need to be able to say they went from here to there.
Yeah.
If you have 10 case studies like that, you can use that as a testimonial when you launch. It will give you more viability, it will give you more respect, it will give you more rapport, it will give you more credibility, it will give you everything you need to be able to sell at the price you want to sell it at.
Love it.
Then you need to start building up your audience. You can do this before you launch. You can do a launching soon, coming soon. You can do a launch plan in pre-launch where you start to get the hype, start to get the engagement, start to do competition, start to nurture, engage people. A questionnaire is the best way. What are you struggling with? What are your problems? Forums, social media groups, Twitter. Look up keywords. Set up Google alerts for words where people are, typing in things like, you need to do your keyword research. You need to know what people are searching for. What is their pain?
Yeah.
And what are they looking for to solve that pain? Whatever that is in your industry, whatever that is. Once you understand that and you can fix that, then you can start to target that audience. Once you start to target that audience, you start to build up your tribe, build up that following. You don't need a massive following. It's not about how many Instagram followers you have. It's not about how many people are following you on Facebook. It's about how engaged. I would rather have 100 people who are highly engaged, who buy everything, than 10,000 people who don't even interact. Right? It's about it's about the depth, not the width.
Yes.
So you need to make sure that you're building lasting relationships. You need to make sure that you're nurturing the people that you're engaging with, not trying to be this big foghorn that goes out to all these people. Too many people see they see the Russell Brunsons and Tony Robbins and they're like, oh, I want to be on stage in front of 10,000 people. You've got to think he's been doing it his whole life. There's a reason that he's built up what he's built up, and he's built up this tribe through results, through taking action and making things simple. Simple action gets results.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what you need to do. So I would get people in the program, make sure that you over-deliver, give them everything plus more. So they're like, oh my God, what Steve did was amazing. Yeah, the results I've got are great.
Yeah.
Then you say, hey, look, so-and-so got this result. They had no money. Now they're making £10,000 a month. If you would like to make £10,000 a month, then follow this proven model.
Yes.
That's how you launch. That's how you successfully sustainably, ethically launch something into the world so that you have a problem, you have a solution, you have case studies. It takes time. It is not an overnight thing. I'm not here to get rich quick. And people need to understand that. If that's what you want, great, go play the lottery. But if you want to build a sustainable, lasting legacy that supports your lifestyle, great. Listen to what I've just said, because I'm doing it, it works. Just copy me.
Love it.
And a lot of what I'm saying, I've modeled from successful people. I have a lot of very influential friends in the world who are doing 7, 8, some are even doing 9-figure businesses. Like, I know when I look at like these people and when I follow what they do, I'm like, wow, this works. How can I apply that to my model? How can I use that in my place? You know, when you look at the Warren Buffetts, when you look at the people who are doing things that they're doing and how and why they're doing it. It's all about the tribe. It's the people you have around it. It's how you show up.
How you show up. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, thank you very much. That was really amazing advice that you shared with everyone. And I'm sure the people who are watching this video will greatly benefit from that advice. Because
I hope so. You know, if only one person, if you're listening to this and this works for you, great. There are a lot of people that will listen to this and will switch off or will drift off or will be checking Facebook while they're listening. There's people but there's other people that will be listening that will be like, wow, that will be like absorbing everything. And I know because over the years now and speaking in front of like, you know, tens of thousands of people, I've got the privilege now of people coming back to me and saying, wow, what you said really works. And I'm like, I know, that's why I said it. But only the people that apply it. And I can tell you now, the amount of people I've spoken to and the amount of people that have taken action, it's astounding how small that percentage is. So if you're listening to this and you are that person who takes action, I honor you. I would love to connect with you. Reach out, connect with me. I would love to talk to you. If you're one of these people that have just listened to this and you're going to continue what you're doing, then good luck. When the time is right, hopefully you'll pick up some of these resources and you'll follow up on them. And whether it's through me or through someone else, I wish you well on your journey.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome, man. I just very quickly, I'm also conscious of your time because I know we're hitting the hour mark now. I quickly just wanted to talk to you about your book, because this is the book, Plan Your Website, and it's an international #1 best-selling book. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's available on Amazon, and I'll make sure I put a link below in the description for the viewers so they can go and check it out. But it's an amazing book because it makes things so simple. Now, for me especially, because I did not really know much about building websites. I've never been involved. But this book kind of gave me real practical advice, step by step, which then now, for example, if I'm going to go and get somebody to build a website for me, I know exactly what I want. I also know what to look out for. I also know what questions to ask him before I actually, hand him over the project. And before that, I also know I'll have clarity on exactly what I need to do, when the website is up and running, who my actual target market is, what sort of things I want my website to be able to do, what kind of functionality it needs to have. Like, all those things are explained there in a really simple way. So first of all, what motivated you to write such an amazing book? And secondly, can you maybe talk about like the process you went through when you're writing this book, in terms of like what did you thought was important and how did you order it in the books that it came out to be such an amazing book?
Sure. I mean, great question. And I mean, I could spend another hour just talking about this right now, and I could give people. So what I'm going to do, like, just for the people that are listening, I'm conscious of my time because I have another meeting in 15 minutes, so I have to go as well. But I really, really want to give this value. So I'm going to talk quickly, and people can hopefully play this back. But I want to give as much as I can right now. So firstly, I told you about making mistakes. I wrote my book. I had a book launch in London. I had a cake in the shape of a book. I had 100 people turn up. I had people sponsor the event. I had a big book launch. I had everything there except a book.
Right.
And so I actually did my initial book launch without my book. And I had to tell everyone at the event that my book wasn't ready. And it was actually a year after that until I launched my book.
Oh, wow.
The reason why is because I've rewritten the book. It's actually, that's not the original book.
Oh, right.
The original book was different. It was talking about domain names and hosting and all these other things. And what I realized is that the moment I write this book, if it's got anything technical in it, then it's going to be outdated because technology moves so quickly.
Yes.
So I want to focus more on a strategy.
Yeah.
Also, one of the things that I've learned on my journey, which again is looking back in hindsight, I could never have seen this. I was building websites. I'm a web developer. That's my background.
Yeah.
Now, I couldn't compete with India and the Philippines and countries where cost of living is so cheap. Being in London, it's expensive. And so hands down, they would beat me sometimes on experience, but a lot of times on costing because they could undercut me and I just couldn't compete.
Yeah.
So I started to ask the question, what can I do differently? How am I different? And the thing that I knew is that I understand business owners and I understand developers and I also understand designers.
Yeah.
I understand marketing, so I kind of sit in the middle and I understand each area.
Yeah.
And so I can float and I can dip in and out. And what that gives me is a unique position and I can work on a strategy.
Yeah.
And so I know that the biggest problem that most people in Western civilization and Western cultures who are hiring people in Eastern cultures is the questions they ask. I need a website. And what people don't realize is when they say I need a website, that means I need a strategist, I need a business manager, I need a marketing team, I need a design agency, I need a content writer, I need a therapist. I need, like, there's all of these things that are like kind of part of it, if you know what I mean. Like a website, it's such a dangerous word because there's so much that's involved.
Yeah.
And so what I've done, because I struggle to understand it, I'm not clever. Like, the whole reason my book is simple is so that I understand it. Because if I understand it, anyone can understand it. And so I wanted to not so much dumb it down, but I wanted to take away all the jargon, all the advanced like technical speak that normally you get when you speak to a developer, and just put it in plain English so that you can read the book and say, do you know what? Now, exactly like you said, I know what questions to ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what happened is I went out to America. I'd never been. I was going out there to surprise a girl that I'd never met for Valentine's Day, who I ended up marrying. And as we know from the beginning of this story, it didn't work out. But I went out there to meet her. And I was actually, the reason I went out there is I put a Facebook post and I want to go to America. Cash flow's tight. I can't really afford to go. I want to surprise for Valentine's Day. What do I do? About 200 comments. And one of them was a friend of mine named Mark P. Summers, who turned around and said, this is a bit crazy, but I'm sponsoring an event in San Diego, and if you help me at the event, I'll pay for your flight and accommodation. And I was done.
Yeah.
So I went out to what was then Traffic and Conversion, which is the largest North American network market or internet marketing event. I didn't know anything about it. I'd never even heard of it before.
Right.
Ryan Dice, a great guy who runs the event with his business partner, Perry Belcher. And I met Russell Brunson, and I met a lot of amazing friends and people who I'd been talking to for the previous 2 years online.
Yeah.
I met them all.
Oh,
you know, we was out on a boat. We spent the evening on a boat on a VIP dinner and talking to the founder of a group who's got 20,000 members who I've been part of, and connecting with all these amazing people and just soaking up all of this stuff and this information and dinners and talks and meetings and networking. It was just pure adrenaline.
Yeah.
It was like injecting steroids into your business. It was just I walked away from there on fire.
Beautiful.
And so what happened is I actually rewrote, because when I spoke to Russell in about 2-minute conversation, in the conversation we had, there was a 2-minute part when I mentioned my book, and he went, you need to focus on this. And I was like, oh my God. And I went and I said, I even mentioned him in the book because I love and I hate him. And the reason I love him is because he gave me the missing link. The reason that my book was never published, because I was if you're procrastinating, it's not because you're lazy, it's because you're missing something. Something doesn't fit right, and you may not be able to see it yet, but until that piece clicks into place, for me, I thought I was lazy, I didn't write my book, I wasn't procrastinating, I just didn't see the missing link.
Yeah.
Ross gave me that nugget, which allowed me to create that missing link. As a result, I had to rewrite every other chapter, and that's why I hated him. Because I was like, now I need to rewrite my whole book.
Yeah.
But I wrote my book quickly. What I did, I mapped out the 10 chapters, and this is what I want to give you. If you want to write a book, this is the best way, in my opinion, to write it. Write a skeleton, 10 chapters. Then write down 3 bullet points for each chapter. Then pick up your phone, get your voice recorder, and actually write down and say, okay, chapter 1, section 1, and then just talk. Because when you're writing, you're intellectualizing what you're saying. But when you're talking, you're in flow. When you're in flow, you can say it. Then upload that audio to rev.com for $1 a minute. They'll transcribe it for you.
Wow.
Also, because you're now paying to have it transcribed, you're not going to waffle. So it keeps you on point.
Yeah.
What I did is I voice recorded my entire book, sent it to rev.com. They transcribed it. I had my first draft.
Beautiful.
Then I went through and edited it. Then it went off to 4 different proofreaders. It got proofread hundreds of times. It got changed and tweaked. That process took about a month. Writing a book took me a week.
Wow.
Then it took me a month to actually hone it, and about 3-month process in total. It took me 2 years to write the book. But when you consider actually taking action and actually knowing it and getting it done, it was a relatively small space of time.
Awesome.
Then what I did is I realised that within my book, I don't know who's going to buy my book. So now I have data capture. There's a workbook that goes with it. So I give away a free workbook. Now, when people get that free workbook, because the whole idea is that workbook is that people can give it to a designer, a developer, or use it themselves. That gives them everything they need. Like, you reading through the book's great, but that's only the strategy. There's a link in that book to get a free workbook that you can download, and you can use that to fill that in. Now, what I did, that's where I get my name and email address. That's where I can start the conversation. That's where I start the nurturing process. Then I've got an online workbook, so people that don't want the PDF, they can get an online workbook. They can actually buy it on Amazon and get the actual book. The actual workbook as well. So can you see how I've started to productize myself and change things? And now I've got all of these, and this is just the first, like, that's just the plan. Like, I've got plan, build, promote. I've got different courses and different things for every aspect of my business. I don't have to be involved. Like, that is completely automated. Someone can buy my book, read it, do my workbook, buy my online course, do my promote course, do the whole thing. I don't even know their name. And at any point they can reach out and connect with me, and I have a track record and I can see exactly where they are and what they've done. And I can jump in at that conversation and I can help them.
Beautiful.
That's the power of having automated online systems that work with you.
Awesome. I love it, man. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's beautiful. I know we're kind of running really short on time, so super quickly, how can people help you right now, and where can they go to connect with you?
Great question. The best way that people can help me right now is connect with me on Facebook. Like, everyone has their social media tool. For me, it's Facebook. I'm always on there. It's the easiest way to connect with me. Unfortunately, I can't accept any more friends. I've hit my limit, but you can definitely follow me and send me a message. If you send me a message, I have so many friend requests that I ignore. But if people send me a message, then I'll interact with you, and then I'll do my best to add people as friends. But that's the best thing to do, is to follow me on there. Anybody that you know that needs a website, recommend my book. But also check out my website. It's onlinemastery.co.uk. Onlinemastery.co.uk, and I've got a chat box on the website that you can reach out to me and connect with me or my team. I've stepped back now. I don't build websites anymore. It's not what I do. However, we still do offer that service. I've got an amazing designer who does the most phenomenal brand guidelines. We do logo creation, brand guidelines, we do marketing, we do website builds, we do sales funnels, we do the strategy side of things.
Awesome.
Like, the website is such a small piece of the online business. There are so many other things to consider. And it's about just getting it out there, making it work for you with the channels that make sense for you, not overcomplicating it, keeping it simple, and taking action.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna
reach out. I'd love to connect.
Beautiful. But I'm going to put all those links and stuff below in the description of the video, so people who are viewing this, they can go and check it out. And all I want to say is thank you so much for taking this time to be here today with us. It was an absolute blast. I loved it. And it was fantastic experience to actually connect with you again. And
I know, right? We need to do it again. This is like...
Yeah, I'd love to have you back on. I think it'll be great. I'd love to have you back on. To be honest with you, I have a lot more questions I want to ask you. There's so much more I want to ask you.
Well, let's do it. Let's book another session.
The surface. So
I'll tell you what we'll do. If you're listening to this now, if you're a viewer and or a listener and you're listening to this, reach out, not necessarily to me, reach out to Tal. Make sure you ask him questions, and then if we jump on another session, maybe we can do a Q&A and we can answer some of your viewers and we can answer some of the questions of your subscribers and your viewers.
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic idea. So yeah, guys, in the comments box below, please leave your questions or reach out to me. You always have my email. I always put it in the description of the video. So please go and, use those tools to reach out to me or reach out to Steve. And we'd love to hear from you. And next time, as Steve said, we can maybe do a Q&A and answer some of your questions. But in the meantime, I just want to say once again, thank you so much to Steve for being here and taking the time to be with us. And if you're viewing this video, I think Steve dropped a tremendous amount of value on you. There's no excuse for you not to reach out to Steve, especially given the fact that you have now heard about his book, you've heard about what he's been up to, all the stuff that he's mentioned about his mindset and what actually got him to be where he is. Like, anything you want to actually, take further, you have to go and reach out to Steve. And I also want to say, if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, please do so, because that's how I'll be able to bring on more amazing guests to serve you guys in a better way. And with that, Steve, thanks once again. Let's do this again sometime soon, and all the best with everything you're doing. In the meantime, if I can help you with anything, please give me a shout.
No, I appreciate it. And as I said, with your viewers, if you reach out and send me a message on Facebook and let me know if there was anything here that was of value to you. Yeah. I don't get paid for this. I don't do this to make money. I'm not even selling anything here. I mean, I know we've talked a bit about business. I do this to give back because I know when I started, like at the beginning, it was somebody reaching out who helped me, who give me that platform to allow me to step up and to start my journey.
Yeah.
So if I can do that for someone else, then and it helps in any way, the best way for me, like what's more valuable than money to me, is to know that I've made an impact.
Yeah.
So if you can reach out and share and let me know that you've heard this and that you've listened to this and that it's done something for you, good or bad, I can take both. But let me know, because that's where I love the interaction. I love connecting with people. But apart from that, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for your time, for allowing me to come onto the show and talk to you. And hopefully we'll connect soon.
Yes, absolutely. Guys, thank you so much. And Steve, it's been an absolute blast. Thank you so much. You know, let's do this again sometime soon. And in the meantime, stay awesome. All the best. Take care.
Take care. Bye, mate.
Bye.
Cheers.